I am here with Julian El Natural Montalvo. Julian, let's start with when you started boxing. How did you get in to the sport? Who influenced you, and at what age as well?
When I had started boxing, I was around 5 years old, and the influence that I started in boxing is because my brother wanted to do boxing, so my dad made me go with him. So we started training there. I,
And
I didn't I didn't want to I didn't want to train though, but I still went because my dad made me because my brother wanted to do it.
mhm. And tell me, who is your brother? How old is he as well? Because you're 18 years old, but your brother is also, I believe, a little bit older than you, and is older. I mean, is also a professional boxer.
No, yeah, my brother's name is Fabian Montalvo, and he is 21 years old, and he is also has the same record as me, 5-0 with 4 knockouts.
Interesting. So he wanted to start boxing, and then you were forced to join him because your dad obviously wanted you to both to be in the ring if be training if he's going to take your older brother. At what point did you discover, hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. I might not have wanted to at first, but let me keep going.
I was around 11 years old, and it was, it was. I mean, my amateur record is 22-1, but around that time, I had lost my first fight. So when I had lost my first fight, I was like, it was the only fight I lost. But when I had lost that fight, I was like, I can't let this happen again, and my ego kind of took over me, and I never wanted to lose again. So I worked hard and made sure I stayed focused, so I could never experience that.
So how old were you when you had your first amateur fight, and how many fights did you do before you got that eventual and only first loss as an amateur?
My first fight, it was like I was 11. No, yeah, 11. I was 11 years old, and that was my sixth amateur fight.
Wow. So in 1 year, you did six fights or even more, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was the reason? Because in that first year, you're 11, you're doing so many fights, right? At some point, you stopped and slowed it down. And as we'll talk later, maybe you emphasize sparring in the gym with elite fighters over doing amateur fights. And maybe that provided you with a better education, so to speak, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say around 11 years old. I was also a smart kid in school, so I was mainly focused of just having fun in school and being a good kid, you know. I was like I had straight A's up until like middle school. But around that time, I wasn't really focused on boxing. You know, I kind of just did it for the love of the game. To, when growing up, I got out in a lot of street fights, so it just when I'd go ahead and go to the gym, I train just in case a street fight happened. I'd be ready for then. So um, I don't know. It just kind of grew on me after that.
Nice. So starting young, preparing yourself for a potential street fight, the fighter's ego of having your first loss kind of fueling you, that all made
Yeah.
or created that desire to continue boxing, correct?
Yeah.
And what continues to motivate you? Is that all the same thing? Is that now it just feels natural to you that because you've been in there so long, your goal or your destiny is to be a professional boxer?
Yes, definitely. Now I look at it. I mean, I can't go ahead and get in street fights no more. It'll end bad for me. But my fume to keep me going is just I want to be the greatest in the sport, and I love boxing, and it's one of the things I really want to do, and I wouldn't picture myself without boxing. So it's just something I always have in the back of my mind that I want to be the greatest.
Cool. And now, in terms of your amateur experience, 22 and 1 is not common for someone who I guess you could say is debuting or joining a top promotional company like Top Rank, really, right? Because usually, amateur standout, Olympic gold medalist, 100, 200 amateur fights. There was something different about you. There was tales and stories about your performances and sparring. So, how were you discovered by Top Rank? How did that process come about? And just give me a brief overview of your amateur record. Did you have any major tournaments, or was it just those 22 and 1 in local fights?
You know, Vegas did have some top tournaments, but my fights I never really traveled like in to different states to go to no national tournaments or none of that. You know, my I was mainly focused on working in pro, and that's just what we were working on. And you know, whenever we were able to get in an amateur fight, we took we and it was local, then we take it. But besides that, my main focus was just working on fighting in pro, especially because I was working with all these national champions and sparring with them, and you know I'd heard them in sparring, and it just showcased like that I don't need to go ahead and show that I need all these national champions to be a good boxer, you know?
And to what I was saying earlier, how were you discovered by Top Rank? How did that come about? Did they see you sparring with someone special? How did that come about?
Well, we train at the top rank for we've been training like 4 years, and we were just like some regular kids in the gym, just going there just to spar, you know. But anybody that they'd be like, oh, we got this person your weight, and the first thing I did, I would tell Frank. Frank is the one of top rank that take care of the gym. But I would always tell him, I was like, oh, I want to spar him. I want to spar him. I want to spar him. Like they would never come to us. I was always like, I want to go and spar them, you know. And and people wouldn't expect me to have the skill level that I'd have at my age. So you know, it's kind of a surprise.
Can you name some of those important people? And so basically, for maybe people who might not know, when you go to a boxing gym, if you're not, there regularly or if people don't know you, someone will be looking for sparring and they'll ask you and be like, hey, do you want to do some rounds with this guy? But they wouldn't do that with you because they didn't know you. You went out of your way to say, hey, there's a contender, there's a professional boxer, there's a world champion. Hey, can I spar with him even though I'm 15, 16 years old? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh yes, yep. And I still remember one time, and it's because he's one of the ones I always wanted to spar only because I I'd take some of the stuff that I seen him in fights, and I'd use them in my sparring. But I remember one time Frank had told me that Loman he had pranked us, but he had took a picture and posted on his story of Lomachenko at the gym, and I had texted him. I was like, "Is he there? Like, make sure nobody spars him because I want to spar him." So it's just kind of something I want. It's like my portfolio of people that I want to spar. You know?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
that's it's in a lot of ways a better education than an amateur career because sometimes the guys you'll fight, you don't know if they're going to go far. They could have 10, 15 fights and then they quit boxing next year, because that's life.
Yeah.
But you're sparring with professionals, contenders, world champions. Now, you're telling me you didn't eventually get to spar with Lomachenko, unfortunately, but can you name some other people that you were in the ring with?
I sparred with Keyshawn, Shakur, Angelo Leo, Tiger Johnson, Bruce Carrington, Richardson Hitchens. Um, what else? The Jamaican. Oh yeah, what's his name? The Axeman. Nicholas Walters. Um, Marlon Tapales. There's much more. I just can't name them all at the top of my head.
That's amazing. That's amazing. A little bit more about your team. Tell me, who is your trainer and manager? How long have you been training and being managed by this individual? And yeah, just tell me more about that.
My coach that trained me, his name is Armando Flores, and he's also my manager. But he's been training me ever since I first started boxing, and yeah, we just continue to train together. Like he's right here. He's doing
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And he had a relationship with Top Rank too, correct? I believe his son fought on Top Rank cards before, or how did that work?
Yeah, his son Angel Flores, he used to fight on some top rank cards. You know, eventually one point he was uh to get signed by them. Um, you know, things just happen in life, so yeah.
It
But
all
yeah,
worked out.
he's always been he always been involved in boxing for like 20 plus years.
It sounds like your trainer and manager from the very beginning said, "Hey, we're going to the big leagues. We're going to focus on professional boxing. Let's develop your style in a professional manner. Let's develop your amateur career in a professional manner, and let's end up at top rank." Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking forward to do something with my time, I'm willing to make it worth my time, you know?
Yeah, and ultimately, that's where you're going to make money as a professional boxer. Okay, cool. I think we have enough about your amateur career, developing, and your training. Are there any notable amateur opponents? We already talked about the great people you fought sparring. What about as an amateur? Any big names, or maybe they're not even debuting yet since you're so young?
No, but I will say there was the one that I had lost to. His name is Moses Pride, but I don't know if he's still training now. But around when that time when he had beat me, I think that's the reason, a big part of reason why I still continued boxing because it helped me realize that if I'm not working hard, there's people that are gonna pass me and be better than me. So I always had it in my mind that if I'm not working hard, somebody's working harder than me. You know.
100%, 100%. Okay. Styles and influences. How would you
Oh, but
describe?
also I was gonna say one more thing though, but eventually I was able to have my rematch with him and I had won that fight.
Okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And happy that despite beating him again, you still had that fuel. Like, hey, this is not gonna happen again.
yeah. Definitely. It made me feel better and more motivated. Like each each day, I just keep getting motivated and motivated and motivated.
Excellent. Do you have any hobbies outside of boxing?
Yes. I do. Growing up, I did play a lot of street basketball. So I'd always go to the park. I'd play basketball, and that's like where a lot of the street fights I had got into happened at the basketball court.
Uh, uh,
But
yeah, anyone who knows about basketball or street basketball, pickup games, whatever you call them, they always or they tend to end up in street fights, right?
yeah, definitely. But I try my best to stay out of it. But yeah, eventually here and then I'll still go and continue. But when I'm getting ready for a fight, I don't be playing basketball or none of that. I'll just go home and probably get on the game or something.
Okay, cool. It's good to know this. If you have any interest outside of boxing. So you like basketball? Are you a fan of basketball? Do you follow any organizations? And what are those other interests? Do you like video games? Any particular video games that you like?
Yeah, when it comes to basketball, I mean, I always kept up on it when I was little. I at one point I got into baseball, but it was only for like a cool year. Um, I like doing all sorts of sports. If I have the chance and there's like a soccer ball, I'd go kick the ball around or something. But yeah, besides that, I'll just be on the game playing Fortnite or Call of Duty.
Okay, cool. So you like video
Yeah,
games. Okay. Is that pretty much it?
yeah.
Because, some fighters might have interest in like watching different sports. Some fighters like anime. Some fighters like playing chess or playing an instrument. Would you say it's mostly video games and maybe basketball?
I'm a little bit of everything. If there was a point where I did get into chess too, and I do watch anime from here to there. So it's just I just feed into a little bit of everything.
That's cool. Okay. And then
Yeah.
describe to me your style. How would you say is your fighting style? Are you a brawler or you're more technical, but you like to come forward? And are there any influences in terms of the way that you fight?
You know, I think about it, and I could do from both. I could distance fighter. I could be a brawler. I could switch to southpaw. I do a mixture of everything, depending on the fighter. So you never know what you're gonna expect when you get in the ring with me.
Awesome. Cool. And so long term, what would you say is you said this before, you want to be one of the greatest in the sport, but and just two more questions. What are your long term goals in the sport of boxing? What do you want to accomplish when it's all said and done?
Of course, what one of mine is to become world champion, and then second is to be undisputed. And then after undisputed, I just want to keep going as much as I can do. Eventually, when I come into sparring with all these guys, it helps me realize that whoever they put me in front of, I I want to fight them, and I'm gonna fight them.
Nice, nice. And then lastly, your fight is on April 11 at the Chelsea at the Cosmopolitan in your hometown of Las Vegas. What can we expect? It's a six rounder in your division of super featherweight. Just, tell me what can fans expect and from your performance on April 11.
No, they're gonna you don't want to miss this fight. You don't want to miss 1 second. I'll make it worth worth the watch, and it's gonna be a good fight.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for your time, Julian.